Hi everyone, today's a slightly different video. We are actually moving from the Algarve up to Porto, the north in Matosinhos, Sul, and we are actually going to be loading up my car because we need to go get the keys tomorrow, which is Monday, and then we're going to drive back and then we're going to do 2 more trips to see if we can grab everything. Normally we'll get a moving service, but we don't really have enough stuff to justify getting a moving service, and we didn't really plan this properly, so we're just going to try to see how much we can put in the car, and also how much the weight of the cargo affects the range. So I'll tally up how much all of this weighs and I'll display it on screen here. And basically, normally when we take the road trips up to Porto, it's just the 2 of us and maybe 1 luggage bag, so that's around about 100 and maybe 130 140 maximum weight. But now we're going to have basically fully laden car. And what I'll do is I'll test what the watt-hour per kilometer is going up with all the stuff, and when I drive back I'm going to drive about the same and see if there is much of a difference with weight and with not. So without further ado, I'm going to load up my car and then we'll be on our way tomorrow. So I started loading up the car from the back. I usually drop the seats down first, especially if I'm going to be loading up the rear part of the car as well with stuff. Load from the back doors as well as through the trunk, but I actually put these chairs back up because I wanted to put my golf clubs at the bottom where the floor is. As you know, there's no hump in the middle, so it's completely flat. I had to move the chairs forward to give it a bit more space, so I wanted to test whether the golf clubs would fit. And as you can see, I'm putting it in here. My golf bag is actually full of stuff, so it's pretty packed, and it's a cart bag, so it's not a skinny backpack golf bag, but you can see it fits quite comfortably here, and this saves a lot of space in the trunk as well as in the rear, because if I had to load up my car, I would most likely have put my golf clubs facing forward through the trunk, so that saved up a lot of space. As you can see, it fits quite comfortably without sacrificing any rear space or front legroom space, because I can still move the chairs further back. I started loading up the boxes. These are the biggest IKEA boxes you can get, and you can see that it goes through the back. And in the sub trunk, I added a carry-on luggage. It fits perfectly. That's actually quite a small carry-on luggage. I think a slightly bigger one can also fit. I also tried to put more boxes on top of these boxes, but these boxes were slightly too big, so that didn't work. So in the front, I wanted to load my Click Clear golf trolley. Obviously that was way too hard, didn't fit, so I put this IKEA bag with shoes. Even though it was a bit tall, the shoes are obviously malleable, so I was able to push it down and it closed quite comfortably without too much tension on the front. And in the rear, I started loading things on top of the boxes, especially things that are soft that I can move around. In the final clip, you'll see I also added stuff to the shelf at the back between the rear windscreen and the top of the shelf. So in the back here, you could comfortably add a full-size luggage bag and another carry-on, but I added my Click Gear, some IKEA furniture that's been flattened, as well as a backpack. And then I added more stuff on the sides by the door, but you can see that it's fully packed. This was the next day, and there's the things on top of the shelf. And I actually had to open the window to drop stuff in and close it instead of opening the doors, otherwise stuff will fall out. Morning everyone, so today is the next day and we are on our way. We're running a little bit late, about 10 minutes. It's 10 past 7, so 7:10 a.m. We should have left it around about 7, but we should still make it on time. As you know, from the Algarve to Porto, it is 2 stops. So 1 stop at Algarve do Sol and 1 stop at Fatima with the standard range Model 3. It takes in total about 6 hours, including charging. The previous time I went up, there was a bit of a wait at the Superchargers due to Easter weekend. But today is a Monday and there's no holiday, so I don't anticipate any waiting today. So we should make it in about 6 hours, including charging. Driving time is usually about 5 hours. If we drive a little bit quicker, we might be able to make the whole trip in just under 6 hours. The previous time I made this trip, it's been about from Algarve to Algarve do Sol, it's been about 200 watt hours per kilometer, or 220 the previous time when I drove a little bit faster. The average speed the previous time was about 120 kilometers per hour. Bear in mind this is average speed, so as you can see now I'm driving about 60 at the moment. So including these slow speeds, I did go obviously over 120 to get an average speed of 120 overall between here and Alcácer do Sal, so just bear that in mind. I'll most likely be using Autopilot as much as I can on the highway to get to Alcácer do Sal. Let's see if the additional weight uses more energy compared to when we normally go. I can feel that the car's a lot heavier. It definitely feels like there's a lot more momentum going downhill here. The total weight I would say is probably about 250 to 300 kilograms. I think we've loaded this car as much as we can. As you can see in this video, I was packing up the car yesterday and I actually realized that I could use the floor of the rear seats to put my golf bag, which is quite a big space saving, because a golf bag uses quite a lot of space. I was hoping that my click gear trolley, golf trolley would be able to go into the front, but it's too high. But I think in the Model Y or the Model X, maybe even the S, the front is a lot deeper, so maybe you would be able to go in there. Carry-on luggages can easily fit in the front or the sub-trunk, and I have put quite a heavy carry-on luggage in the sub-trunk this time, so we've maximized the space. I don't think we could have put that much more stuff in here. Let's see how much energy it uses compared to before. Obviously this is not a super scientific test, but basically stay tuned, because I'm going to be making the same trip back to Algarve this evening. So we're just driving up, dropping some stuff off, getting the keys for our new place, and then driving back. So I'll try to drive the same when I come back, and obviously it's going to be in the evening, so it's going to be maybe colder, so the consumption might be a bit higher, but we'll be able to see a direct comparison in this video of what the consumption was going up with fully laden and coming back with an empty car. So stay tuned, and if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and like the video if you like it. Thank you for all the support, and we'll see you when we get to Alcácer do Sal, and I'll show you what the consumption was. So something really strange happened. I was on autopilot and I was focusing on the road and everything, and then it's disengaged. I don't know if I was striked or not, but basically these warnings keep coming up. So I don't know what I did. I didn't do anything, to be honest. So we'll see when we're at Alcácer do Sal if I got struck. But as you can see, I'm not even driving that fast this time, and which I'm manually driving now. It's really beautiful here on this A2 highway, by the way. If you guys ever get a chance to do a road trip in Portugal, driving down here is super beautiful, very scenic. But anyways, I'm driving at like 120, 130, and the consumption is very high. So I'm curious to see the average when we get to Alcácer do Sal. I mean, this is downhill at the moment, so it's 240 watt hours per kilometer. Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next hour and 10 minutes, and I'll do a debrief then. We are arriving in Alcácer do Sal, and I realized that my one camera is not working, the left camera, the pillar camera, so it can't do autopilot or any of the safety features. So I've been driving manually, and we arrived around about the time that I thought we were going to arrive. So let's go through the charging stats. I'm just going to go to the other side, so we're doing split, and I'm going to give myself a coffee because I haven't had one this morning yet. I don't usually wake up this early, so this is very early for me. It is not even 9 a.m. I usually wake up at about 9, so this is pretty early for me, and I'm definitely feeling the effects. So no one's at the supercharger now, as I predicted, so I'm going to be able to charge quickly to full. According to this, I've been struck out again, even though I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything wrong. Something went wrong with the car. As you can see, this camera is not working, so I don't know why I got struck. I didn't do anything, but anyway, so well. And let's do a review of the range. So basically I drove 182 kilometers over 1 hour 29. It didn't use that much more than last time with the additional weight, about 10 watt-hours per kilometer more for a similar speed. And basically, if we compare to the prediction, 7.5% more than prediction, so not that bad, but 28.9% more than rated, obviously. But yeah, we arrived with 13%, and we're going to charge to full and then go to Fatima, which is a couple of hours away. Okay guys, so basically my camera still wasn't working when I locked the car and got out, but now it is working. So basically what you should do is, if you encounter that sort of problem and you can't get your car to restart the system, go to the car symbol over here and then go to safety. Under safety there's an option to power off the car. I just powered it off and then waited like a minute, and then I stepped on the brakes to turn it back on again, and now it is working. So if you guys do encounter those type of problems and you want to reset your the system of the car, just make sure that you power it off. What's really annoying is that the last 1% of the charge takes forever. It's got to 99 at about maybe 5 minutes ago, and basically we arrived at 8:37, which means that if we stay for another 4 minutes we would have charged here for an hour. And what's also something I want to talk about is that my estimated distance has gone down from 399 all the way to 394 now. What's interesting, earlier it said 390, so as you can see the thing fluctuates, and I think if I charge it home overnight, maybe that'll correct itself over time. The next leg of the trip is going to take an hour and 34 minutes. If you didn't see my previous video about the supercharger at Fatima, definitely check it out. There's some really cool stuff at the Fatima supercharger, especially at the Floresta restaurant where I met Antonio. It was the first supercharger in Portugal, so they have a lot of cool history there as well and events. And yeah, so like I said, hopefully my autopilot works. I don't know why I got struck out, because I definitely do not think that that was my fault. Now I've got 3 more strikes until it gets disabled for a week, which is very annoying. The current charge has been at 22 cents per kilowatt hour. I have redeemed a 5,000 kilometer supercharging credit on the app. I'm not sure if it shows in the car, but I will see how many kilometers it registers for this charge, because according to my trip estimate last time, since the last charge, I think I did about 230 kilometers. So I want to see how much of the kilometers it redeems, because the credits in the Tesla app is in kilometers instead of kilowatt hours, which makes no sense to me. So let's see what they use as the rate per kilometer. Okay, we are finally done. It literally took 59 minutes in total. I'm going to unplug the car now. So I did check how many kilometers the credits we used, and it was 280, even though my previous charge was 213. So it is a little bit it uses a little bit more per kilowatt hour. I'll do the calculation and then we can compare what rate it's using per watt hour per kilometer. So we have an hour and 30-minute drive up to Fatima, and we'll see how long everything takes and how much charge it uses with this extra load, and we'll see you on the other side. So we are now arriving at the Fatima superchargers, and we arrived ahead of schedule. I did drive a little bit quicker, so the usage was 247 watt hours per kilometer. We're going to be stopping here for around about an hour. I think I do need to charge to full, as far as I remember every single previous trip. So we can have a rest here. I have some work to do, so I'm going to do some work while we wait, which is perfect. And I'll do a quick trip summary when we stop and plug the chargers in. This is, as I said, the first superchargers in the whole of Portugal, and this is a pretty cool place to come check out if you've never been here before. There's some really cool merch at the store, as well as some history. So I met Antonio the last time I was here. Check out my previous video, and you can learn a little bit more about the history of Tesla Supercharger here in Portugal. Otherwise, I'm going to charge now, and then we can do a quick review. Okay, wait. Careful. We have driven 173 kilometers over about 82 minutes, 247 watt-hours per kilometer. So here's the theoretical range, and basically it says 35 minutes to continue the trip. I don't believe that, because last time it said that and it was up to an hour, because the last like 10% is a long time. And basically right now, if you had to pay, it's 21 cents per kilowatt hour, which is very cheap. It's great. And yeah, let's take a review of the consumption. So for the trip, I used 5.9 more than the projection, which isn't bad at all, but obviously compared to rated, it is much lower. 32.2 more than consumption because of highway driving. And yeah, so I'll show you guys around again, but basically there's a cool restaurant over there, the Floresta restaurant, where all the Tesla merch is, and you can check out some cool stuff. I got my Tesla official dog mode mini from there. I haven't opened yet. I think I'm just going to keep it in the box. It looks pretty cool like this. I'm going to keep it on my desk when I move. But yeah, so if you really want something like this or any other Tesla merch, check out the store at Floresta. So as I told you guys, that 35 minutes is such a lie, because it's taken almost an hour to charge, and I just enjoyed my nice coffee. I had a meeting, got some work done, but now that it's complete, we can get ready to go. 11:56. And we have another 1 hour 50-minute trip. We'll probably make it in 1 hour 40 minutes around. So yeah, we'll see you guys at the other side in Porto. And if you guys ever get a chance, definitely come check out Floresta. Their coffee is really good. I just have to give their cup back now. So I'm gonna be back here again tonight when we do the return trip, and maybe I'll get some dinner then. Here ahead of me is the Floresta restaurant, which we will be returning to again tonight to charge at the Fatima Superchargers. Okay, so with the extra weight, I don't think we expended that much more energy. I would say about 5 to 10% more than without the extra load, when it's just my girlfriend and I with our dog, which is negligible. He's only 2 kilograms, and maybe 1 suitcase of luggage for the weekend. But to be fair, the amount of stuff I have in the car, it's just big in terms of volume. In terms of weight, it's only about probably 2 extra adults sitting in the back seats, so it doesn't seem to have affected it that much. If we had added even more in terms of weight, then I think, if we just carried lead, for example, I think it'll significantly decrease the range. But for this sort of distance, especially with the distances between the superchargers here in Portugal, it's been pretty okay. The distance between the Alcácer do Sal supercharger and the Fatima supercharger actually meant that I didn't actually have to worry too much about range. There was no range anxiety, because I arrived with quite a bit of range, even though I expended quite a bit by driving a bit quicker on the highway. From Algarve to Alcácer is a bit further, and then now from Fatima to Porto, it's telling me that I need to charge to reach the destination, even though I'm fully charged. So I'm wondering whether it thinks that I won't make it. But that's not a problem, because if we do need to make an emergency stop, there are tons of third-party chargers here in Portugal. Usually people charge along the highway at the petrol stations, because each petrol station basically has a charger now. It seems like the energy companies here in Portugal have kind of pivoted to also provide electricity for EVs and otherwise. And interestingly enough, like one of the biggest oil companies, or energy companies, Gulp, is actually, they provide utilities for your home, and it's fully renewable energy. Most of the energy production in Portugal is fully renewable, so completely green energy. And I think a few years ago they did away with coal, and by 2026 I think the goal is to do away with gas and all sorts of extra energy production that's not renewable, from either wind, solar or probably hydro as well. So yeah, Portugal is very much on the way to becoming carbon net zero, which is really cool. Okay, so we are ahead of schedule. We should be arriving in the next 15 minutes. So it will be 13:37 just now, leak time that I was going to arrive, but now it's 13:38. To be fair, it actually didn't use that much energy. So 219 watt hours per kilometer so far. And we are driving into Porto via Foz do Douro because the agency is in Foz, and we're going to collect our keys and then go to our place in Matosinhos, and then that will conclude the first part of our trip, which I will do a summary of what the charge was and how much we paid for charging. I didn't pay because I'm using credits, thanks to you guys for the referrals. Tesla ended the referral program actually, so apparently Elon Musk came out saying that it's temporarily suspended, but it is quite curious because it was shortly after they announced poor earning results causing their stock prices to tank. So I wonder if he's just saying that it's temporarily ended because it will eventually come back in the future, or whether they're actually working on something new. You'll never know. So hopefully we get a new referral program where you guys can get some benefits if you use my referral code. But as of the end of April, I think it is no longer going to be active. So maybe by the time you watch this video again, there'll be a new program, hopefully soon. Once we unload everything, we'll spend a few hours in Porto, and then I'll be driving back to Algarve tonight with the car emptied out. So I'll do a comparison of what the charge difference was, and I'll try and drive around about the same speeds to maintain the similar travel times. One thing that I've noted now that I've made this trip 3 times now is that the charging basically takes 2 hours in the standard range. So if you're on a rush, I would recommend that if you do long road trips to get the long range model, because the charging of the long range is actually faster than the standard range as well, because I think the NMC batteries can take charge much quicker than the LFP battery in any case. I don't think it's necessary to always charge 100% because the last 10% takes the longest. So I'm usually quite finicky about that because I don't get to charge unless I'm at the supercharger anyway, so I want my batteries to calibrate. So I guess I could probably save maybe 10-15 minutes at each supercharger, but to charge the full on the standard range from about, I would say, 15-20% charge to full, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. So just keep that in mind for your long travels. When we start traveling outside of Portugal into the EU, I will have more experience on charging times, especially if one trip involves up to 5 to 10 superchargers. Then we'll see how much the supercharging or the stops for the charging impact the trip. One of you guys have asked me, why don't I charge at the petrol stations? Because the prices are actually way more expensive. It's actually probably double or more from my experience. I've charged at the Ionity chargers. When I first got the car, I wasn't familiar with the prices and stuff, and I think it came to over 40 cents per kilowatt hour, whereas, as you know, at the supercharger earlier today it was only 21 cents, which is extremely cheap. I think the cheapest you can get in Europe. So we're going to be arriving in the next 10 minutes. Once we stop, I'll do a summary, and then we'll transition this video to our departure of Porto, going back southbound. I would just like to comment, we have arrived up here north, and look how amazing the weather is. It's almost like the north is welcoming us home with this beautiful weather. Hopefully it's not catfish, because I wonder how long this type of weather lasts. Let me know in the comments below, because a lot of you have been telling me it's super cold and rainy. But what I did notice was, at least up here in the north, even if it's raining, people are still out and about doing stuff. Down in the south, when it starts raining, it's the same in Cape Town, where as soon as there's a drop of rain, people are like hiding in their houses, nothing happens. Even the shops are closed. So I am quite pleased that at least there's still activities to do in the rain, and people normalize the rain. But anyways, as you can see, this weather looks amazing. We're not even in full summer yet. It is April, end of April, May, so I think we'll get a good few months of good weather. Okay, so we've finally arrived, and basically, let's take a look at the summary. So I drove 200 kilometers, 198 kilometers in 1 hour 42 minutes. Actually, it wasn't too bad. 206 watt-hours of charge per kilometer. And if we look at the rated, 22.9% more than estimated rated consumption. But it actually predicted that I was going to use 75% of the energy, but I only used 73%, which is pretty good. So yeah, welcome to Porto, and we are gonna go sort out our stuff. We'll see you guys on the flip side when we are driving back home to the Algarve tonight. Before unloading the car, we went to get lunch at Bagas, which is a really nice beachside restaurant bar, and then thereafter we went to Padaria Portuguesa for a pastry. Okay, so we are leaving Matosinhos now. It is 6:27 p.m. I had to charge fully at these Atlanti chargers because there's no Tesla superchargers in Matosinhos or Porto area, so I fully charged. Our first stop is going to be at Fatima and then Alcácer do Sal, and we should be arriving at Fatima at 8:35 with 2 hours of driving. So let's see what the consumption is now that the car is completely empty. There's actually nothing in the car, and you'll be able to see that if we're going to be saving some energy now that the car is much lighter. After driving about 6.5 hours with all that cargo and now getting back in the car, I've only been in the car for about 10 minutes and it feels significantly lighter. Like, you definitely don't feel as much momentum, and also when you turn, it doesn't feel as heavy for sure. So I definitely think we're gonna save a lot on consumption. And also I'm very pleased that I have Autopilot and I haven't been struck out, because as you can see, it is a cluster of traffic here. And you know, we've been living in Algarve for a while, so we don't really get traffic like this, but this is obviously in Porto, near the big city, so a lot of people are leaving work at this time. And let's see how Autopilot interacts with all this traffic. Obviously we don't have full FSD in Europe, so this is just regular Autopilot. Obviously got the navigator on Autopilot enhanced, but it does seem like it is kind of doing well. It's actually really cautious, as you can see, so I need to step on the accelerator to get a little bit more aggressive, otherwise I'm just going to be stuck in the middle of the road here. So that is one negative thing about non-FSD self-driving in the Teslas everywhere else besides America right now. In the US, they recently released the latest FSD update and it looks amazing. It seems like you could just get in and literally put the destination, and it's super smooth. It can do unprotected left turns, everything, and probably better than most drivers. So that is quite interesting, and I can't wait to try it out when I go to the US either later this year or early next year, and we'll definitely do a video when we're there. Maybe they'll have even a newer update by then. So I don't know what my car's doing now, so it's going off the road on Autopilot. Okay, now Vortica's got too confused. I think it's trying to avoid this truck over here because it thinks the truck is going to come through. No worries though, I'll just reactivate it. What is interesting is I spoke to quite a few Portuguese owners of Tesla at the superchargers, and I've noticed that in some of the comments on my videos, a lot of people actually don't use Autopilot, which is quite interesting because I actually bought this car because of Autopilot. Not because it was EV. I think the EV thing was cool, but I didn't think that was the selling factor for me. The Autopilot was the selling factor. And to be honest, ever since the recall update, I have been kind of disappointed. It's been not as easy to use. It's been much more finicky. Also, it's more sensitive of when you're not putting your hand on the wheel. So I am a little bit disappointed from that front. But on the highway, I think it works okay. I don't think it works amazing like it did before. Because before, it was quite lenient. It allowed you to, you know, have your hands off the wheel most of the time, and then you can look straight and it should be fine. But now it's like nudging, asking you to nudge the wheel all the time, and sometimes it gets pretty annoying. Like at some point I just turn it off because it annoys me. On the open highway, like, you know, when I don't really need Autopilot, I just end up not using Autopilot these days. Whereas before, you know, I think I just left it on because it was so convenient. So I think that was a downside. So today we're going to be driving a total of, not necessarily driving, but on the road, in total of in excess of 12 hours, including charging, because on the way up here I think it was just over 6 hours. On the way back it's going to be another 6 hours plus with the charging. So this is the longest I've ever driven in one go. I must say I do feel pretty okay. Normally, if you had told me to just drive 3 hours, I'd be really tired. I think I mentally prepared myself, and we are excited to move, and I think that's what's been giving me some energy and adrenaline. We'll see you at Fatima. I'm going to get some dinner when I'm there, and I'm going to go speak to Antonio again. I got to see him earlier today, and he got his Model 3 as well. He got the same configuration as me, except in grey. So it's also a very beautiful color. What is your favorite color in the Model 3? Let me know in the comments below. Guys, you won't believe it. My autopilot stopped working again because the camera is malfunctioning. Take a look. It's not moving at all. And now all my safety systems have been disabled. Something's wrong with this car. Honestly, I don't understand. I need to send it to the service center. So we're turning off into Batalha, which is on the way to the Fatima Superchargers. And it's been a bit frustrating, as I showed you earlier, that the camera froze again. So I haven't been able to use autopilot or anything. And we're also held up by 2 accidents on the road. There was an accident where a truck hit a car. Luckily, it didn't seem like anyone was injured. They just parked in the middle of the highway. So that's what caused the traffic jam initially. But then later on, there was another traffic jam, and it was due to an overturned cargo truck with like consumer goods, Coca-Cola and things like that. So that held up traffic a lot, which meant that this trip was a lot slower, average speed-wise, than when I went up from Fatima into Porto, which means that I probably consume less as a consequence. Obviously, it's been double whammy, the car being lighter, as well as the slower speeds. We'll review the actual trip and the estimates when we get to the supercharger, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset my car again. I'm going to turn it off and wait maybe 2 or 3 minutes this time and see if everything gets restored properly. I'm going to monitor the situation. I do not know what's causing this. I don't know if it's the latest update. I don't know if it's the test logic, but I've had the test logic in for quite some time now and haven't had this issue. But there was a software update a few days ago, so I wonder if it's that update that's causing this problem. Oh, I didn't even realize that there were 6 exits or 7 exits on this roundabout. That's pretty crazy. Look at this, guys. Look at all these exits. Wow, really easy to get confused here. But anyway, so we're pulling up at Fatima Supercharger. I'm going to have some dinner now at the Floresta restaurant. It's been quite a long day. I've been driving practically on the road for a total of 8 hours now, so I am getting a little bit tired, but surprisingly I'm more energetic than I have been the previous times I was driving. So don't know if it's got to do with my diet or anything, because I'm on quite a, I wouldn't say super strict, but I've been on a keto diet for the past month or so. So I haven't consumed much carbs and kept my insulin levels really low. So I wonder if burning keto has helped me have more energy in general. Usually that is what people say the effects are, so I'll just assume that is that. Anyways, as you can see, Monday evening, not many people at the superchargers. These are V3 superchargers, so you're going to make sure that you don't split it with anyone, especially when there's other people around as a courtesy. So if you are charging a supercharger and it's not very busy and it's not the newer superchargers, just make sure to leave a gap. Even if it's a new one or you're just not sure, just make sure you leave a gap between so that you don't split charge with them. Okay, so we have now arrived. As you can see, the sun is kind of still out, just set, and it is 8:21 p.m. I think we're on time, and we've done 198 kilometers over 115 minutes, and basically it's 203 watt-hours per kilometer. As I said, it's gone a bit slower due to the accidents on the road, and obviously the car is much lighter. If we look at the estimates, you'll see that I've consumed 4.4 more than trip projection. On the way up, it actually was less than trip projection, and rated, I used 21.1 more than rated, obviously because of how we're driving. And basically, I have a few more hours of drive, 2 hours to Algarve do Sul, and then from there another 2 hours back to Vilamoura. I'll show you what problem I'm having now. So this camera is definitely still not working. Okay, second attempt. I'll turn it off for a little bit longer this time. Still not working. It's broken. Oh man, Bear in mind, my car is pretty new. I bought it in November, so it's about 6 months old. Only 13,835 kilometers. I don't know what is going on, but let me just charge at least it's still charging. There you go. I'm gonna go get myself some dinner at the restaurant. Maybe they have some keto options. I was breaking keto today. I had a bolo de Belém. Those are so good. It's basically a custard bun, and it is a calorie bomb of carbs and sugar. Okay, so 15 minutes to continue trip, but I'm going to charge to 100%, and I will see you guys on the flip side. Okay, so I ordered some food from Floresta. I'm eating it in the car. Look at this, guys. This is so good. It smells amazing, guys. Look how fresh the fish looks. Also, with regards to my camera problem, I checked on Reddit. Other people have had the same issue, and they do a camera calibration. So let me try that now, and if that still doesn't work, then we will send this car in for service. Okay, so I actually stopped the charging because that 1% just took forever. And also I went on Reddit to see, oh weird, I went on Reddit to see if I could find any information how to fix my camera situation. And basically people have said for me to just reset the calibration. I've done that, and actually it worked. So right now my calibration, sorry, let me just read my thing quickly. So right now my camera calibration has been deleted, so it's recalibrating like when I first bought the car, which means I can't use autopilot and stuff for a short while. I think after about a few kilometers, I don't know how long it was last time, it will start working. Although it is dark, so I'm not sure if the calibration is going to work properly, but at least my camera isn't physically broken, it seems. So we are leaving Fatima now. So we are gonna be heading to Alcácer do Sal, and we should arrive there at 10 to 11. So 10:50 p.m. and which means it's a 1 hour 30-minute drive, and from there it's another about an hour 30 minutes as well. So we're gonna arrive back at home after midnight. But yeah, it's been a pretty good drive so far. I've been super unlucky with autopilot in general, being struck out, it not working, going over 140 kilometers because someone's trying to overtake me. I don't know. If I can't even handle a measly 500 kilometers with autopilot, how are we gonna drive 5,000 kilometers with autopilot? But anyways, it's been okay. It's been okay to drive manually. This car is quite comfortable to drive. We can make a comparison of what the charge was that was consumed from Alcácer to Fatima earlier today with a fully laden car versus a non-laden car. The previous load that we had in the car, including us, came to about the weight of 4 grown adults. So it's not an unreasonable load to have in the Tesla Model 3, given it's a full size sedan. So it is interesting to see, how much range you lose if you have more people in the car, because obviously for us, it's mostly just the 3 of us, including my dog, but for other people, we might be buying a car for your whole family, and maybe that could affect the real world range that you experience versus what I'm experiencing. Autopilot was working extremely well. 5 minutes after my previous clip, when I was still calibrating, it worked the whole way. I think I was driving almost 100 kilometers on autopilot, and it worked really smoothly. I was very happy after I calibrated it, and then all of a sudden I get a warning, and I was like, oh shit, I'm getting striked out again. But I've been following the rules, and then I realized that the camera broke again. So I don't know what the hell's going on. I'll recalibrate it again when I get to Alcácer do Sal. But it's a little bit concerning. People on Reddit did say that this has been an issue, and overnight it fixes itself, so maybe it's just a temporary glitch. I've charged for about 20 minutes and it is almost 85%. I'm just going to wait until 85%. I have reset the calibration, and the camera it has come back online, so the camera is working again. Hopefully it works and I can use it for the last leg of the trip. I actually quite enjoyed the last time it was working for about an hour. If I could do an hour out of the hour 35 minutes remaining, I'll be very grateful, because I am arriving 35 minutes after midnight. And yeah, so I think I'm gonna leave now. It's already 11 p.m. I think everything's actually closed now. Earlier it wasn't actually closed, but I managed to use the toilet before they closed, so it's great. And I'm gonna stop charging right now, and as one of you told me, I don't need to press stop charge unlock port, but sometimes the buttons don't work, but this one is working. So yeah, just hold down on the button, stops the charge, and off we go on the final trip. And when I get home, I will do a final summary. As you can see, it is using much less without the load, so obviously the extra weight does add a little bit more, so you guys can figure whether that will affect you and your purchase decision if you need to buy the standard range or long range model. Okay, I'm off. I will see you guys when I get home. Cool, we have arrived at home. We drove 180 kilometers. I'm happy to report that Autopilot worked the whole way. Of the 180 kilometers, I think I drove maybe 170 kilometers with Autopilot, which is great. It was very comfortable. I listened to an audiobook while we came here, so there's no problems, and the camera didn't freak out again. And it was 199 watt hours per kilometer, 91 minutes basically for this trip, which I think is pretty good. It actually said that I used 2.7% less than trip projection, and compared to rated 18.6% more, which isn't a lot. So this speed wasn't extremely high, but as you can see, it's under 200 watt hours, so the weight definitely plays a big difference. I'll compare these numbers with all the other times I've driven from the north here to the south in the Algarve, and we can compare some of these numbers and the speeds. And here's your summary for you. Thank you for staying to the end of this video. If you like my content, remember to subscribe and click the like button, and I will see you next time.